comes down to this. Robert Morris and Maryville. Goku and Vegeta, Yankees, and the Red Sox. There's a good chance that the overall championship might actually run through these two particular teams. It might not even be the last time we see them play each other, because the loser has a great chance of going through the wild card to reach the championship again later in May. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kyle Corvus Crow. I'm joined at the casting desk today by the one and only Brian Brain Starkey. And the winner of today is the North champion.
Oh man, that's insane. It does not feel like it's been how many weeks since we started? 7 or 8 weeks since we started, and we've kind of seen Robert Morris go on a run and not really stumble and fall until about 2 weeks ago when their star support ended up going to a pro team.
Yeah, Phoenix One picked up Shady there and left us with a little bit of a scramble period for the side of Robert Morris. They had a little turbulence against Grand Valley State, but now they're here. They came through 5-0 undefeated in the regular season. No tiebreakers, no round of 32 match because they got to buy through it. Started in the round of 16 against Central Michigan, 2-0. Round of 8, they had their snafu, 2-1 over Grand Valley State off the back of a clean win and a close game.
It was a little...
And then, we saw them in the round of 4, right, against Columbia College, who they just got in so much better form against and rolled right through seemingly with very few problems. And so, top to bottom, they're here looking in prime playoff shape to take these finals today. But on the other side,
Maryville looks hella good. Holy moly. Like, they have not dropped a single game. Like, I'm not talking, like, a loss. Like, not like when you have a 2-0 series, every single game they have played has been a 2-0.
Right.
They haven't lost a single game. They have not tasted the bitterness of even a small defeat.
Right. So if they come through today and 3-0 Robert Morris, right? It's a perfect season.
It's truly a perfect season until they get to the finals come May.
Right.
And, and then it might be a little bit closer.
Yeah.
You're talking about some really, really good teams.
But talking about really good teams, Robert Morris is the best of the really good.
Yeah. And, man, so it's been pretty great because Kyle and I have had over the last couple of days some time to spend talking to
some of these teams,
Some of the teams. And it's been pretty great being able to talk with him because we've gotten some fun stuff. And with that, we actually are going into picks and bans. Quick bans, Rumble, Renekton, not surprising. Two of the strongest top laners. And Saskia being very, very good. West Coast carry, also very, very good.
Right. We saw a lot coming out from Saskia this season. He's played, I think, more unique champions than just about anybody left in our run through here. The only champion we've seen him play twice is that Renekton. It's banned away instantaneously. It's one of his best. This guy's like number 10 on the challenger ladder right now.
He's very good.
Just off the back of some with no small part due to that Renekton.
Yeah, and that's actually pretty surprising considering Renekton wasn't really that great until about halfway through the season so far. Right. I mean, he was good, but then like all of a sudden Renekton came into the forefront and just exploded onto the scene. It was very good. But seeing the Graves banned away, not surprising at all.
No. Heard from some of the players on the side of Maryville that the Graves from Mordio is one of the most terrifying champions you can play against him. And so to take that one away is a hindrance there. Lulu taken away first round for Evan. That's not a surprising pick at all. You'd expect that just with how much Papa Chow plays that champion. If he can get the Lulu, he's going to. So knocking him back down a peg onto the Karma, still very, very relevant in the comparison scheme of things. It's either going to be, the Karma or the Nami into that Lulu these days. Shen taken away for Saskia, though.
And to touch on that Karma pick again, while we kind of say it knocks him down a peg, in the games that we've seen Maryville play, right, Free Papa Chow has played Lulu 4 times and Karma 3 times. So he's almost played the champion the exact same number of times.
I mean, this one will tie it up, right?
Right, and looking at it from a ULoL perspective, from the games that we have seen streamed, Karma being picked up is not surprising at all, considering that Lulu and Karma kind of have similar poke shield styles.
Absolutely. Lucian the hover for Buck Zach there. We'll see if they go with that. They do lock it in pretty quickly, and Mordio on a familiar Rengar, something he's been playing all throughout the series, the Campus Clash, not the Campus Clash. I'm so sorry.
The ULoL.
The ULoL Campus series. That's what it is. The clash is a little later on. You'll hear about that in some time. But the lock-in coming out from Pinks, picking up the Lucian for his teammate Buck Zach. Ready to roll on there. Surprising that they left the Ezreal up, actually, because Robert Morris just loves Ezreal.
They do, but it's also important to keep in mind that Lucian is very strong right now. He has a pretty nifty build path. Rush Blade of the Ruin King, get Black Cleaver, buy boots in there somewhere. And that makes Lucian very, very strong, especially into tank compositions, because the Blade of the Ruin King did receive a small buff in that last patch, and so it makes it very good. We did talk about how good Ezreal is, but Ezreal's still, like, it really depends on what you're trying to do. Like, Ezreal, I feel like, is stronger than Lucian, but Lucian's not a bad pickup at all.
Oh, no, not a bit.
Along with a Lee Sin for Chody Walrus, we've seen...
Not surprising a bit.
Yeah, we've seen Chody Walrus play Lee Sin 3 times so far. And then the Cassiopeia being locked in for Pinks, also not surprising. He's been played quite a few times as well.
Yeah, so with that Lee Sin pick, actually, one thing that's interesting to me is Chody Walrus, it's Lee Sin or it's Rengar. And so Rengar was picked away. Lee Sin, we probably could have predicted that. I wouldn't be surprised, maybe, if he has a good game with this Lee Sin to see. Looks like we just have a little bit of a placeholder coming out here. We'll get back to that in a minute. Point at hand, I would not be surprised if we see the side of RMU ban out either the Lee Sin or the Rengar, take away the other one early enough in the draft, and then force him onto something that he's not comfortable with. Because it's not like Mordio doesn't play a hell of a lot of both Lee Sin and Rengar as well.
I think the important part to note for me is, do you, like what bans do you sacrifice to do that, though?
Right. Oh, no, there's certainly so many on the line here that you got to be careful. They're going to pick it down, top-down order this time. We'll see what comes out, what that placeholder pick was.
Aurelion Sol.
Aurelion Sol.
Spicy.
That's going to be an interesting one. Right into the Cassio from Gillette. Cassio, strong champion for that guy. Aurelion Sol, though, answer that I doubt Gillette may have been expecting.
I think so. The interesting part, we talked about this a little bit earlier, right? We got some chance to have some one-on-one time, a little bit of interviews with a couple of players and then a coach as well from both teams. And something that was kind of a common theme that I saw is both of them were saying, you haven't seen what we can actually do yet.
Right, yeah.
You have not seen our Final Four.
Right, we've not played all of our cards out yet. This is just, we're biding our time. This is the match where all the secrets will be revealed.
Yeah, it's a match where the secrets have to be revealed almost. I mean, both teams are so good. Like, none of them can hold back at this point.
No.
And that's part of the reason why this game's so hype for me. It's not just kind of like the Twitter drama leading into it, but it's like the schedules leading to this point. Like, truly a clash of titans between these two teams, and they're both like down the line. I would say these players are even with one another.
Yeah,
just down the line.
I think so. I think it's going to be really close between a lot of these. Cat God versus Gillette, that is CKG and Pinks under some pseudonyms today. Going to be, I think, one of the most heavily pressured points in this game because the mid lane for the side of Robert Morris is so strong that it's going to have to draw some jungle pressure, right? I mean, I would not be surprised to see Chody Walrus focusing that lane more so than most others. However, over on the side of Robert Morris, they've got a train to stop in the bot lane here, right?
Yeah, I mean, like Prototype and Free Papa Chow are just so aggressive all the time, and they're so good at it.
Yeah.
Like, Karma is a very aggressive support. She wants to throw those Qs out. She wants to mantra her Q. She wants to aggress onto you. But the way Prototype plays his Ezreal, he just launches those Mystic shots out all the time, and he threads the needle on them.
I know. It's
just like, what do you do?
It's like it's magnetic to champions. It just tracks them down, finds them, lands. Prototype talking an interesting game in the Twitch chat last night when we saw UBC take a loss to Simon Fraser, actually, surprisingly enough.
If you guys actually haven't watched that game, go back and watch it.
Such a fun
series.
It's
incredibly fun. Our casters did an amazing job with it. And so, like, if you want to go spend, like, 4 hours watching some University League of Legends.
But zeroing back to that, Prototype came out to say that there is no better bot lane in North America, amateur, pro, or otherwise. Said there are better individual players. He's not sitting there, comparing himself mechanically to Piglet or Double Lift or any of those guys, but he's saying that in a 2v2 situation, they can take on anyone, and it sounded like you meant it.
Hey, listen, if you're going to say something like that, you
Now's the time.
You have to believe it. You cannot talk that kind of smack and just be like, I was just joking.
It was merely a ruse.
That's right. I just straight bamboozled all of you.
No. This is some serious confidence. A little bit of trash talk as well mixed in there, but you just get the feeling that Prototype and Papa Chow are bubbling over with bravado as to how they're going to play this one out. Well, we're down to about the last minute here of these spectator delays that we have, so we're going to run over a couple plugs from the CSL. We are hiring a social media manager. Head over to cstarleague.com for some more information on that. If you feel like you're qualified for the position, do not hesitate to send us your application, your resume. We'd love to hear from you. We read them all. Please come be part of our team. Second on the line, you heard this slip out a little earlier, the Midwest Campus Clash. Very important for both of these teams. There's $25,000 on the line. It's April the 8th at Columbia College in Missouri. Columbia College, the same one that lost to RMU last week in the round of 4. Qualifiers been underway. Plenty of the teams are already there. Both of these teams, we can expect to make an appearance. So, sort of a taste of things to come here. However this one ends out. You can type !Clash into the chat for some more information on that. Next plug down the line, the Twitch collegiate community. From CSL to the rest of the collegiate world, Twitch has created a community page for viewers to keep tabs on all things collegiate. Find out more, twitch.tv/communities/collegiate, or follow Twitch Student on Twitter. Finally, I want to tell you guys about the ASUS video contest. The Republic of Gamers video contest is going on right now. Basically, top to bottom, submit a video that showcases your collegiate gaming club or awesome gameplay footage from yourself or another club member. Email the video, not a YouTube file, the actual video, to admin@cstarleague.com with the subject ROG submission. Well, with that taken care of, we are going to get ready to get into the game. Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 in this best of 5, it's going to be Robert Morris versus Maryville, and I could not be more excited.
Yeah, this is going to be a really, really exciting game. I'm just like, I don't know where to start. And so if you hear me flounder over my words, it's because I'm just so flabbergasted.
That awestruck. Right.
I am, because these teams, I'm not joking when I was saying earlier that this is like the Clash of Titans. And so you are seeing some very, very good teams coming out here. And we're going to see some very high-quality League of Legends from both sides.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of the most even matches we've seen in all of ULoL so far. And so we're not accustomed to going to even third games with our regular casts. Today, it's a minimum of 3 games, but I'm expecting more than that. I'm expecting these teams both have it in them to go the distance here and make it happen to where we'll get 4 or 5 games.
With this being a best of 5, it completely changes the dynamic. It's no longer having to make adjustments after the end of game 1. Right, you have to make adjustments after game 1, and then you have the chance to adjust again after game 2.
Right.
To like do the reverse sweep, right? The Cinderella run almost.
Absolutely.
And there's not a good way to explain how important that is for both RMU and Maryville, who do an excellent job in the game of just adjusting to the enemy's strategy, but then having losing a game and then having time in between each to adjust either your picks or your bans, or even just getting a better feel for how the enemies play.
Right. It's all going to come down to Cat God doing a flyby. Getting a little bit of information. Don't think he spotted Mordio there. Not sure what all came of that. But either way, both junglers starting a solo. Not going to risk any leashing coming out this time around, as everyone's just starting to settle into that CS groove. This is the point of the game where you're trying to shake out the nerves, right? You're a little bit worried about how things are going to go. You're a nervous player. You're in your own head about it. You start trading that CS, and it all just starts to melt away. This is the point where you're just getting comfortable with the game again. And by Pinks, Gillette getting really comfortable in Cat God's face. That level 2 power spike forces a flash, and are you kidding me? Soloed first blood level 2. Cat God didn't even get to reach level 2. I mean, he was out. Gone.
And that's a huge misplay by Cat God. Not even level 2 yet, and he was playing so aggressive, trying to use the rotating stars to do damage and harass, which is what you want to do if you're playing Aurelion Sol, but not when the enemy Cassiopeia hits level 2, is able to poison you and then just spam her Twin Fangs onto you.
Right.
Huge misplay by by Cat God, burning his flash, but at least taking away the cleanse and flash out of Pink's.
Sure. Yeah, you gotta question this too, because Aurelion Sol was Cat God's answer to the Casio, right?
Yeah.
If he's doing his homework, which I'm sure they are over at the side of Maryville University, Papa Chow in some trouble, should get out. If he's doing his homework, he would have seen that against Columbia, Gillette by Pinks played that champion twice, saw what it's capable of, saw that it's no doubt very strong, had this in mind as a reaction, and the first instance of them butting heads does not go in his favor.
It does not, at all. That was a very rough play from Cat God, but he is level 3 now. He is trying to maybe rotate down to bot lane, but no, nothing's gonna happen there. Something to point out that I didn't get to talk about because of that early kill onto Cat God is that Evan RL is very highly praised by both teams as being a very, very good player.
Right.
Not only on AD carry, but also as just like a support player. He's been playing very well. And so something to talk about is he got the Lulu shield at level 1 to actually try to negate some of that damage coming out from free Papa Chow.
Right.
And that is clearly working in their favor. The only thing is, like, so Lucian's had to use 3 of his pots, but he is only 4 CS behind with that, and Lulu still has a pot up for herself. And they haven't really lost anything in terms of harass because Karma's used all of her pots and Ezreal has used his 1 pot.
Yes.
And so there's a really good, at least, dynamic there in that he's keeping himself alive, keeping his teammate alive, but they're still able to put down damage and trade, even against this very aggressive bot lane.
Oh yeah, it's super evenly matched thus far. Only a couple CS differentiating these two at any given time, and slight leads looking for Prototype in the CS build-up and wave pressure, but every now and then it looks like Zach and Evan take out a nice lead in the health bar trades. Evan's still quite healthy in this. Bucksack about half health, par for the course with the other members of this bot lane, Evan aside. Junglers might be on a collision course here, pinging each other out, showing their respect. No one wanting to get too frisky here. A 2v2 might break out with Bipinks over the wall, but it actually is Cat God out of mana, not able to do much more than just harass Mordio and back it off a-okay. This has bought some time, though, for Gnar to get some deep vision down in that topside jungle. So good play from West Coast Harry to recognize there's a gap and take advantage of it.
And that's one of the things that Drake actually mentioned to us when discussed. Drake is the coach for RMU, for those of you
not
who
in the know.
Not in the know, right? Because we were just kind of in the know more or less off of the Twitter feed.
Right.
So Drake mentioned that to us when we were talking about it. They were saying that one of the big parts of their games that suffered a little bit was just the kind of the vision control that Shady was able to bring.
Sure.
And that's to be expected because he's an extremely good support, obviously being picked up by a pro team. And that's one of the big talking points for pro teams is how good is the ward support, ward control.
Right.
And so it looks like they're doing a good job, at least, of trying to fill some of those gaps that they encountered when losing Shady. You know, maybe some of the players have to adjust their play style a little bit. You know, maybe not stay in lane, put some more hash down Saskew, but no, I need to go into the enemy jungle and play some deep wards, get some vision for my team, get us some in-game knowledge.
Right.
And I think that's something to compliment RMU on, is they've done a really good job of kind of recovering from what is a relatively surprising thing to have happen in the middle of a good CSL season and run.
Right, yeah, no, to just trade away a player this close to it all, I'm sure, helps the school, likely more than it's going to hurt them. It does obviously hurt the ULoL run, but helps bring a little bit of money back into their pocket, helps their name. This is a scholarship school, right? It's important to have a degree of prestige coming out of that one there. And so, trading away Shady, the right move for the school, but tough for these players here, and now they seem to be adapting well, though. Mordio taking away a little bit of the jungle of Chody Walrus, thanks to the help of some nice vision surrounding that top lane. Vision, though, on the bottom side does seem to be slightly favoring the side of Maryville here, as they're posturing around what might be a first Ocean Drake with these wards. We'll see. Maybe just the gank down in this bot lane, too, as we've reached a relatively quiet point. Not a lot of jungle action been able to be found, but Prototype in on to Zach. The exhaust comes out from Evan and forces him out of that one as well. So calling in the Lisa, they've done a really good job at keeping this harass up. That's what you were talking about, this aggressive lane, Starkey. They're on it.
Yeah, and that's the big point. Like, That was Buckzak and Evan RL aggressing onto Prototype, who's out of position. Hang on.
Are we going to see another solo kill here? Gillette wants it, but does not find it. The ult from Cat God does keep him safe and his summoners secure. We got a teleport coming in from Shen here. It is the ultimate being burned down. Walrus going to find one while Zach tries to get in on the other Prototype. Not going to get the kill. It will go over to Saskio. Just an assist, but Chody Walrus finds a second for a nice 2-kill swing coming out favor Maryville. And they've got pings down on this tower.
That's actually really big for Lee Sin, being about 20 CS behind, 15 CS, being able to pick up that kill, catches him right back up to that Rengar.
Perfect.
And that's what you want if you're Lee Sin. You might not be able to, if you're trying to make things happen around the map, you may not be able to keep up with Mordio's Rengar.
Right.
So picking up a kill is huge. That brings you right back into line and make sure that you scale nicely into that mid-game spike, and that you don't fall off too early as Lee Sin. Because I was just going to say, that's one thing that we talk about pretty often is how Lee Sin does tend to fall off towards that mid-game, just because of the champion's kit and the way his damage output is done.
This could be bad for Cat God. Flashes away the ultimate from Gillette and actually returns a nice amount of damage. Wants a 2v1, but might have been a little aggressive there as the poison does tick him down. Mordio sticks around to finish that off, and Cat God a little too big for his britches on that one. We'll see if they try to find anything from the side of Maryville to return this one around. You spoke of spikes earlier. One spike I think is pretty important. They gave over 650 gold to Prototype for that first tower advantage, and now he's looking to be in a pretty good position with Sheen Tier just ready to roll right out. Maybe bring some tears to the face of his opponents as well.
Yeah, sitting at 3,700 gold at 9.5 minutes is not bad. That's 800 gold over Buckzak. And that's not just because only of like that tower, but he also does sit on 2 assists as well. And Prototype getting ahead is not what you want if you are RMU, because that, like we talked about, that bot lane is just so dangerous.
Right.
So dangerous.
Well, the kills are shaping up at least half how we expected. The 2 from the side of RMU, well over into the hands of Gillette. Nothing crazy there. It's a nice distribution. Top and jungle each a kill to their name from the side of Maryville. Saskio and Chody now have the burden on their shoulders to do something with those kills. But they've been putting Prototype in a really good position. He's now ready to just sit back and free farm, and this is where he's going to be really picking up an advantage in the CS over Buckzak.
And if you leave Ezreal in the bot lane to push, right? That puts your Lucian at a little bit of a disadvantage, because like we talked about, Prototype is just so good on the Ezreal. He's able to land those mystic shots over and over again. And that takes, like, while it's just an ADC for an ADC, Lucian is one of the primary damage dealers right now.
Right.
Because Shin can teleport into the fight with his Stan United, where West Coast Carry actually has to use his teleport. And so that puts a little bit more team fight pressure available for Maryville instead of RNG.
Well, it is going to be a dragon. Taking away no contest, no team fight over just the Ocean Drake. But some nice regen. Ocean Drake, always going to be beloved if you're an Ezreal Karma who's just, you know, weeping, lamenting the fact that mana pots are out of the game. We got a fight breaking out here in the mid lane. Chody Walrus is there. It's going to be Mordio coming in onto the side of the group. At this point, it's going to be Saskio in here. He's finding West Coast Carry with a top, but they're in full retreat. Mordio finds Cat God, carries over the wall and finds Chow. Chody Walrus likely going to go down here, and Saskio is alone versus the world. It's an Ezreal ult to buy some time, and actually, Prototype's here to help turn it around. Saskio finds a kill and gets out alive. Wow, that was unexpected and a nice little band-aid on that fight for the side of Maryville, but they are still down 2 kills to 3 here, and their mid lane tower may be punished for it. I don't think Prototype can hold this off too long, should the side of, well, whoa, maybe making me eat my words. Look at this guy! He flashes for the kill! Yeah, I'm sorry, someone grab me a fork so I can eat those words, because that was...
And he spams the mastery emote.
I thought they were gonna chase him right off. No, he deserved that mastery spam. Sometimes we see a little bit of I think it was Chody Walrus that got stuck in like behind Talia wall for like the entire duration of the ult. Just stood there. They were all like running around like, do we fight him? Do we not fight him? Eventually, it was the side of that might have been CMU, Manitoba maybe. They just ran away, and then he just spams mastery. So
I scared them all away.
It's obviously not always condign in that respect. either way. We're 5-5, only 100 gold flexing between these teams. Actually dead even now, but should pop up to 4 on the side of Maryville. 5 now. So, I mean, razor thin between these two. Little bit of an advantage to Maryville thanks to that Ocean Dragon, but standing gold actually in favor of Robert Morris here because they've got the mid lane tower low and primed. If they take it, that will knock it back into their favor, and they'll have a gold lead based off of some CS. Looks like the side of Maryville has some other plans, though, regarding this top lane tower.
It does look like they're going to be able to trade that away. And one thing... Oh, wow, that was a really good...
Wow, yeah, very nice prediction there. The exhaust should actually save him here. I don't know if Flyfinks is going to be able to make that with the failed ult. The stun is there. The cleanse comes through. Blast Cone means Cat God is out of there. He was ready for that, and they burned some time on the side of Robert Morris there, but it's 2 towers now in the top lane. Favor Maryville. That's a K gold lead up. Oh, they're turning it around, yeah.
The mid lane turret is going to drop. I mean, this is what we have kind of started to see out of Maryville, right? They like to play the early game very aggressive and somewhat risky almost. And if those risks pay off, like we see in pro play, if you take that risk early and it pays off, you do very well in that mid game.
Yeah.
But if they don't, it sets you behind. The good news is for RMU is that they tend to, even if they get a little bit behind in the early, they somehow manage to salvage that a little.
Oh wow, that's beautiful. Being a little aggressive.
He just wanted to stop the back. It's fine.
You said Maryville likes to create some chaotic play in the early game. According to RMU coach Drake, that's actually style they much prefer as well. Create the chaos and then weather their own storm. So a stylistic head-to-head between these two teams makes for some exciting League of Legends thus far, as neither's really able to find a huge advantage so far, although the one credit I'll give to Maryville over RMU right now is it does seem like they want to dictate the pace more so than the side of RMU. Robert Morris having to play a little reactively here, and that's gives a certain degree of freedom to the side of Maryville if they're deciding the fights they want to take and how they want to take them. We'll just see if they can do it as well as they plan to, because Robert Morris making some moves, starting to split push up in this top lane, and they've got some good wave clear here in the mid if they try to hold it out.
I think the issue that I see with that play style, though, of forcing RMU to be reactive, RMU's being reactive, but they don't care. Like, they're tied in gold.
Right.
So it's not like they're losing anything for being reactive. Sesco getting caught out super hard.
Has to back off of that one. It's a teleport coming from the back line. West Coast carries there. Doesn't have the Mega Bar just yet, but may just be buying some time for his team. It's a good ult from Cat God just to blast him right out of the path of danger there, and they move on just fine. No blood coming out from this one just yet. Tapering off as each team's trying to decide what this next objective is going to be for them.
Something that is very enjoyable for me to talk about in the downtime, especially at around 15-16 minutes. What have we got CS-wise down the line?
Oh, it's beautiful.
It is actually quite beautiful for RMU. Holy moly, very well done. You've got 27 CS up on that Gnar, which is basically that kill differential between the Shin and the Gnar. Actually, he's up.
Couple hundred gold.
Couple hundred gold from that, so that's huge. The other thing is you've got 24 CS up on Mordio against Chody Walrus in the jungle. 27 CS up for By Pinks against Cat God, and then basically actually in favor of Prototype in that bot lane. But
they've been back and forth.
They've been very tight the entire game.
They've been trading all game long. Mordio in a bad position. Will get found by the ultimate. Gonna force him pretty far back on this one. Probably can't stick around for too much more, and that's a great health bar to find so close to the dragon.
Yeah.
See if the side of Maryville just wants to spit this out. They have the teleport. Double threat coming out from Saskia, and Cat God is just one Cosmic Journey away. So will find themselves the dragon. Chody Walrus picking that one up. West Coast thought he might want to get in there for a little bit, but did just run back out, and will likely have some luck finding this tower. It's just a matter of how well the rest of his team can defend mid as Maryville sets up an offense here.
This is actually a pretty good trade because they're going to be doing a 1-3-1 using Gnar to split push in that bot lane, using Cass to split push in the top, and then just using their 3 other members to hold this mid turret.
Right.
And that's honestly because they don't have a hang on.
We'll see if they can. Yeah, the 3 other members are getting doped pretty handily. Chody Walrus finds Evan RL. It's the only kill found, but it's the only one they need. It's 5 members now of Maryville here and ready to go in this mid lane. Second tier tower is on the ropes, and they're calling back the troops, although it looks like West Coast Carry has to continue this split push. It's a teleport up from Shed. We'll see if he decides to use it here. This tower would be a pretty decent equalizer for the side of Robert Morris, but it's going to be wave clear coming out from that ultimate on Ezreal and should keep it all moving. Now, actually, they delayed the back. They might be able to find West Coast here. Prototype wants it.
I mean, both Prototype and Cat God there. Carry, if he is able to get Cat God.
It's going to be Mega Gnar here before this fight is over, and so Prototype can get smashed back into the wall. Half health, quarter health, almost no health does get taken out. And West Coast just 2v1 this? Are you kidding me? It's a double kill. And you can't sleep on the West Coast Carry. It's 2 down, and arguably 2 of the biggest damage threats on the side of Maryville. So that's a great pickup for them. Robert Morris still behind in towers, but the pressure is in their hands as they're pushing up all throughout now.
The issue here is that, like, Gnar has the Black Cleaver, he has the Ninja Tabby, and he has the Cloth Armor to help negate a lot of that damage that's coming out from Prototype already, right? I mean, that's huge. Prototype only has the Trinity Force and the Man Immune, so he doesn't have any kind of armor pin.
No.
And so when West Coast Carry went Mega Gnar, he gained extra armor, extra health, a little bit of extra attack damage, and Prototype used his arcane shift to get closer to land more mystic shots.
Right.
But that worked against him so hard because he didn't have anything to get away from
the
throw of West Coast Carry. And so it was just so many things that they were like, okay, we gotta delete him before he turns into Mega Gnar. And they didn't. Oops. Because he as Mini Gnar, he just did so much damage to Cat God. The Cat God had to just back off. He couldn't even use the rotating stars to do damage. He just had to run. There's nothing he could do.
Not a bit. Well, we crest the 20-minute mark, still damn close in gold. Nothing separating these two teams. Advantage towers for the side of Maryville. Advantage kills for the side of Robert Morris, if only barely there. 2 oceans still in the hands of that Maryville University. But now the siege game is getting interesting. It's more rotations and skirmish than full-on 5v5 fights we've seen thus far. And we'll see how that adapts, because Shen here with the Stand United, 4 members of his team in that mid lane. Bucksack's nowhere nearby, so Maryville has an opportunity here should they want to find it, but it all comes down to how well Saskew can taper off this bot lane pressure. It's a tower taken down, and Wave gonna crash in pretty well. Will get picked up by Cat God, but either way, Bucksack was there to just push it out for his team. Should be able to rejoin them fine, so rotational play. Credit goes to RMU.
That was a very good play by RMU, and something I was going to talk about before we saw that 2v1 in the bot lane is how well West Coast Carry, we've seen him kind of win split pushes by himself.
Yeah.
And that is even more prominent when you're looking at Gnar, who is able to do so much damage and just press down turrets so easily.
Right.
And having him as one of your like 1-3-1 kind of like, you rotate back between a 1-3-1 or just a single split push, and having Gnar always there is just huge. And the other thing, aside from just how he plays on Gnar, he's very good at communicating with his team about knowing when to teleport in.
Right.
Whenever he teleports in, it's always a very intelligent teleport. And that matters. Because if you only have one, you at least want to win a fight off of it.
Right.
And that's what they've been able to do. He's been able to, when he teleports in on that Gnar, they win fights. And it's worth it for him to stop doing the split push and come and help his team fight. If he like stopped split pushing to teleport in and it was just a bad one, then you pretty much are 3 minutes up a creek during your split push, not able to help your team.
Right.
And that is very important, especially with the way that Maryville is playing, wanting to team fight you.
Right. We're going to see what they can do to stop the aggression that's been favoring the side of Robert Morris these last few minutes here. looking to just get a reset, hit that reset button on this, and get themselves some new footing in this fight, particularly as Baron is becoming a more palatable threat here on the side of RMU. They're setting up some nice vision in the area. They're at least leaving the door open there as they're pressuring waves more and more in this top and bot lane. Mid actually bouncing back against them off the back of some prototype CS, which has been falling behind for the first time in a little while. This is, I think, the biggest disparity we've seen between the two, and so it's only growing in the other departments for RNU as well. We've got a full 50 in that mid lane now.
That's a lot. That is a whole lot of CS, especially considering how far CatGod is behind on the Aurelion Soul. Not just in CS, but in kills and just items. He's not having a great game.
This might be an engage coming out from the side of Robert Morris. They burn a couple ults off the bat. Mordio's on a prototype, but he's bitten off way more than he can chew and likely will die here. Pinks finds Papa Chow. They're in. The fight's breaking out. It's a killing spree, though, for Saskew. Evan RL is on the ropes now, running for his life. West Coast Carry joining the fight full on this time as Mega Gnar, but it's not that 2v1 of old. Prototype was ready for it this time, and he's okay. If only barely. It's one loss from the side of Maryville. 3 down now for the side of Robert Morris. And that was on the engage they chose.
Oh, my prototype. My heart raced. Like, it was very clear that West Coast Carry wanted to flash and use his ultimate onto Prototype. Prototype had burned his arcane shift. It was not available for him to use. But he reacted so well to the flash. He counter flashed so well, forced him to waste it out of danger, allowed his team to get that Mountain Drake, and now they're going to aggress very heavily onto this Baron, and it should be a very close one because we do see that Mordio is coming up though. Will he try to contest? I would think not. This Baron is getting burned out so fast.
Yeah, chances are this goes well over and away to the side of Maryville. Full 5-man Baron, and it doesn't look like the side of Robert Morris can turn anything back around without West Coast Carry there to tank, and so that's a clean Baron taken away for Maryville here.
That was a little bit of a, I think that last fight was a little bit of a miscommunication by the side of RMU as well. West Coast Carry, we talked about how good his teleports were right before that.
Yeah.
But he teleported and he was outside of his team. He was nowhere where the team was the fight was taking place, and for one, there wasn't any wards near where the fight was for him to teleport to. So that was an issue. Issue number 2 is when he teleported in, he didn't have any Mega Gnar bar.
Right.
He didn't have any time to transform into Mega Gnar. By the time he transformed into Mega Gnar,
two members were dead.
Yeah, 2 members of RMU were dead.
Right.
There's like there's nothing they can do.
And then he's like, well, still got to go in full steam ahead.
That's right. It's like it's what we talked about, right? Pro teams, their new theory is that if someone makes a bad call or makes a bad decision, everyone needs to go in on the bad decision.
Right.
Because you have a higher chance of winning a bad fight if everyone is a part of it than if only one person is. Or like 2 or 3.
You know who are the kings of that, actually, in pro play? Is when Evil Geniuses transitioned into North America.
Yes.
It was before Yellow Pete and Snoop left the team with Crepo. They brought in Inox and I also don't even remember the other guy. Might have been Pobelter.
Was it Pobelter?
Might have been.
Yeah.
I'm not remembering this too well, but they would just get so far behind. They'd be like 15k gold down, then it's like, okay, everyone in on this fight, and they'd still get wiped, but it was still inspiring to see.
Yeah, sorry. Everyone make a bad decision together. Oh, Saskew taking so much damage from West Coast now.
Yeah, it's a battle of the top laner. Saskew a full level down, but spitting back some damage. Okay, the taunt will help him out here, but the Mega Gnar has come through, and he's knocked right on down. Saskew actually trying to weather this storm pretty well, but it's a scattered fight. West Coast Carry ends up on the wrong side of that border and gets taken out for it. It's a nice turnaround from the side of Maryville to make an advantage out of what was possibly a bad situation for Saskew. He was just biding his time.
Take a look at this, right? They are pushing down on the second tier turret. There are so many minions there at the top second tier turret. That's going to give them so much pressure for this inhibitor turret in the bot lane because Lucian has to go all the way up to second tier to try to stop that from...
And he's already burned his culling to do so, so he doesn't have many wave clear options when it comes down to this inhibitor that is certainly going to fall.
Yeah.
Saskew is already priming the next wave.
I mean, this is a clinic on how to do wave control and rotations coming out from Maryville, and I think this is something that was lacking in the games that we saw last night between UBC and SFU. UBC just had an awful time trying to do wave control, and they paid for it.
Right.
And now we see Maryville really showing why wave control is very important, especially when you have that Baron. Make the most of it by controlling your lanes, pushing the waves that you need to and priming them so you can rotate around the map and force the enemy team to make decisions.
We're seeing another thing here that was severely lacking in last night's series, which is the potential to end a game before 35 minutes. It does look like momentum is heavily in the favor of Maryville now, and we say heavily. Usually Maryville by this point has stretched such a tremendous lead over their opponents, gotten to a point of just like almost exasperatingly crazy numbers, and now they've got 5K up, and 5K obviously still a substantial lead, still a very big position to be in, especially with the towers and dragons that they've accrued, but it's not monumental by any stretch, especially not against a team like RMU, who very good at wrestling back gold leads. When it comes down to it, let's not forget Game 3 versus Grand Valley, where it looked like they were on the ropes in a situation more dire than this one. And so, we can't count anything out just yet. They've got some very potent threats. West Coast carry, if he can get off in that right team fight, in great position. Buck Zach scaling up with his CS, hasn't been able to participate in any of his team's kills yet.
Man,
only kill he's participated in was one on the side of Maryville.
That's not good.
No,
that is not good at all. Like,
but
that is not a good sign.
He's still at a point where he's going to be able to spit out a lot of damage to any of these players. So try to get on. It's just who do you target now? You have to find Prototype, but he's so slippery with Karma shielding, with Shen ultimate pretty much exclusively reserved for him at this point in the game, and it's going to be tough to find him. Yeah, it's going to be Saskia possibly able to come through, but not in time. Mordio is there. The ult does come through on a Prototype like we expected. It's a great ultimate from Carry, and Cat God is down. Papa Chow on the side. Polymorph can't do much. Buckzak finds Walrus, and they are tearing through them. Saskia still very healthy, and Prototype no slouch with his damage left either. Finds Pinks, and he's going to try to continue this one. It's such a scrappy fight, but it's Evan going down next, and it does look like Maryville actually going to be able to find this one through. Everyone is blinking on the side of Robert Morris. Nobody is there to defend this inhibitor. The wave's crashing against Nexus towers that we might see take a beating. No, not going to happen. Either way, nice turnaround from Maryville.
Yeah, that was very good. And I was going to mention this in the lead up to that fight is how good Gnar is at turning fights. But the issue was that even though Gnar is excellent at turning fights and being able to provide some aggression there, they weren't able to get Prototype.
No.
And Prototype has so much damage. Like, he is one of the best. We have seen him play extremely well throughout the season and just make things happen. And if you can't kill him, you're going to have a really bad time because he's able to play that Ezreal so well and put so much damage down onto... Like, he basically soloed out by Pinks during that fight. He kept Mordio out of the fight in front of him. Buckzak had to play farther back.
Right.
And that's the thing, but that's also... The other thing to keep in mind is how good Saskia and Chody Walrus provided peel for him during those fights, too.
Saskia impressive, as the front line hasn't dropped a death, at all this game. Only member on his team going unblooded here, and so is doing a phenomenal job pacing this out and giving Prototype the peel he needs. This is very much a protect the AD comp, and Prototype is starting to run with it. Chody Walrus taking a good share of those kills as well, but they're priming to get ready for this next Baron. They've got the split push from Saskia here. They're starting Cat God in the top lane as well, but it's just going to be a wave build-up from his side as they all get ready to pace around a very tense situation. It's the ultimate coming out now from Mordio. We'll see. He's going to just be on vision, be on target. They want to find him, actually. Teleport's coming through. We'll see if the side of Robert Morris wants to turn this around. Saskia is just making the run. He says, I don't need a teleport. I'm just actually going to go right back down to this bottom lane. The teleport advantage is now so much in the hands of Maryville. Robert Morris didn't execute off of that teleport, and now the split push threat from Maryville is so real.
This is huge. Saskia still has Stand United up. He still has his other teleport up. He's split pushing into this bot, which is collapsing now onto an inhibitor.
The remaining members are just going to go to Baron.
Yeah, and like, if you're Robert Morris, you have to contest this. This is your only chance to really kind of salvage this game out.
Right, it's do or die teleport coming in from Saskia. He's actually going to be behind some of the members here. And just chases them right off. It's a clean Baron coming through for the side of Maryville. Robert Morris could not do anything to contest him. Now, West Coast carry, that's not the way you want that cone to blast you, buddy. Goodbye. Papa Chow taking the kill over the wall. And a Baron up siege coming from Maryville is now going to crash into Robert Morris's top lane tower. The last tower defending any inhibitor here.
Just look at the wave control. They primed that top wave so well in conjunction with that Baron grab.
Right, Cat God ran to the top, solo pushed out that wave, reset it, and by the time they finished that Baron, it was well in position. Now Saskia is looking to tighten down the final screws on this, keeping Chody Walrus alive, but losing a lot of his health bar himself. The Nexus Tower 1 has fallen, the Nexus Tower 2 on the ropes. Papa Chow health bar low as well by Pinks with the delaying. Zhonya's won't keep him alive for long as Prototype's in his face, finds it shut down. So we do see a death coming on to Saskia, but it doesn't matter because the game number 1 goes handily in favor of Maryville on almost a 10k gold lead by the end of that. And the gauntlet has been thrown down.
Maryville showing why they are what we considered one of the best teams in CSL so far.
Right.
Like, they were playing neck and neck with RMU that entire time.
Ugh.
And it was still just so incredibly close. Right? And then all of a
Until
sudden,
it wasn't.
Until it wasn't. And that's, they had one fight. There was one fight that Maryville needed. They got it, and they just took it from there and really just ran with it extremely well.
No doubt.
So that's, I mean, it's just extremely well played by Maryville, but also RMU. You guys did an excellent job of hanging in there, even when you were like behind in those, even when you're behind in those early towers. A little bit.
I think what I like to see here is that generally, you know, you can never count anything out in a best of 3.
Right.
Now we're on to a best of 5. Can doubly never count anything out. But in general, you start to get a pretty good idea for how the series is going to go toward the end of game 1, right?
Yeah.
If someone just runs away with game 1, you're like, okay, yeah, no, this is still definitely Maryville's fit. I don't have that feeling right now.
No.
I'm not sitting here thinking either team is... Obviously, Maryville's in a better position now. They've got 2 games to go. Winning the first game can set a lot of momentum early on. But, good Lord. It's tense because Robert Morris now has seen a look into a lot of the playbook that Maryville has come through. The Aurelion Soul shock has likely worn off.
There wasn't a whole lot of shock there. No offense to Cat God, but his Aurelion Soul play was relatively underwhelming for me.
I agree. Up until the point of when he was able to start really making the zoning happen in the fights. And he almost provided not necessarily a front line, but kind of a secondary mid line for which Prototype could stand behind and fire away with. So he's in a pretty... I think the Aurelion Soul and the Ezreal combination created a really frustrating barrier for the side of Robert Morris to try to vault over. We're not going to waste any time, though, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to try to get right into game number 2 here. See what they can bounce back with. See what draft adaptations Robert Morris will be able to make. It's going to be a side swap, so last pick will be in their favor. We'll see if they put any priority on the Casio there again. They do have last pick mid. We'll see if they just run it right out again because it is a champion we've seen them give a lot of priority to.
Yeah.
And so I don't know how well Cat God plays this champion. I bet we could find out pretty quickly. Has played it once. CMU versus Maryville, game number 2. Cat God broke out the Casio, so it is something that they might actually look to take away, too, here. Who knows what